Well, the defense is delivering its closing arguments today in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking and racketeering trial. Yesterday, prosecutors spent nearly 5 hours walking the jury through each charge. They painted Combs as a man who used, quote, power, violence, and fear to commit federal crimes. Now, Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Jury deliberations are likely to start Monday. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman joins me now from outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Katrina, good morning. Now, you've been there from the beginning, seeing the prosecution put its case together. What stood out to you from their closing arguments?
Good morning, Michael. It's great to join you. There were a number of things that stood out. One was, I feel like they made this racketeering conspiracy charge feel more accessible. A lot of us have been questioning whether the prosecution had really gotten there. But what they essentially said is that as long as the jury believes that at the direction of Sean Combs, there was a knowing decision to participate in a conspiracy among him and some of what they called his loyal lieutenants, there just have to be two of these underlying racketeering acts that the jury believes were committed. And this could be two of the same act. So it could be as small as drug distribution. We heard so many stories about these assistants and people around Sean Combs procuring drugs for him. And it could be even just a small amount, something that could fit in his Gucci bag. We don't have to think in big bulk terms here. Also, in terms of sex trafficking, it just has to be one act that the jury believes happened through force, fraud, or coercion. So it doesn't have to be that the entire time Combs was in these relationships with Jane and Cassie Ventura, that they were being forced to be part of these freak-offs. It just has to be a single instance for each of these women. So many people have seen this Intercontinental Hotel video where you saw Sean Combs kicking and dragging Cassie Ventura, and the prosecution said he was pulling her back to one of these escorts to be part of a freak-off. So this is just a clear instance where the jury has seen video footage that they could perceive as him forcing them to participate. And then when it comes to the transportation to engage in prostitution charge, they said there just has to be clear evidence that someone was being transported across state lines. And this could just include travel receipts and records, which we've seen so many of in the courtroom. And it has to be for an act of prostitution, which is sex for money. And we heard also a lot of testimony about these escorts being paid for their services. So those two charges seem quite clear.
Now, Katrina, quickly before we let you go, how do you think the defense will present its case today?
I mean, what they've said all along is that these were consensual relationships, that all of this was the choice of the women who participated, that they were in loving relationships with Sean Combs. Maybe they were unorthodox in terms of their sexual activity, but also that there was just an agreement to participate in all of this, and it was personal activity, which is really important for the racketeering conspiracy. They're saying this is not related to his company. This is all what was happening in his bedroom, personal things for Sean Combs. And so those are going to be some of the key arguments. They're just going to try to counter what we heard from the prosecution.
All right, Katrina Kaufman, thank you.